Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm not sure how I will follow Ms. Jada's, but I will try. I'm a first-year law student at the University of South Carolina, and I'm honored to be here with you all and share stories alongside all of these great people. So I will just get started. This is to my brother. What did you think when you became an older brother again when you were 18 years old? I thought that I was the luckiest person in the world to be your sister, and there was no one cooler than you were. I bragged to all of my friends about my perfect big brother, who was so smart that he went to Clemson, who gave the best Christmas presents, and who was immediately good at every sport or game. The brother that taught me how to ride a bike without training wheels, gave me my first cell phone, and built me a treehouse in our backyard. Every Sunday on the way home from church, I would close my eyes as we turned onto our street, hoping that when I opened them, your truck would be in the driveway. What did you think when I grew up and wanted to be just like you? Looking back now, I bet that it was a lot of pressure to constantly have someone looking up to you as an example. I thought that whatever I did, I would always be okay because I would have you to turn to for advice. It never occurred to me that you never really had that person for yourself. All I was concerned with was growing up and getting out of our parents' house. So when I fulfilled my longtime dream and went to Clemson just like you did, I knew it would be the best time of my life. I also knew that I was making you proud. What were you thinking the night that you were arrested? I was sitting at home on Sunday, waiting for your truck to pull in the driveway, thinking there must have been some mistake. My brother did not do drugs. My brother was not violent. He had never even had a speeding ticket. I was thinking of how angry I was, not only at how shocked and hurt I felt, but at how much you had hurt our mother. I've asked myself 1,000 times since that morning, what were you thinking? What were you thinking sitting in jail? Were you scared? I had never known you to be scared, but I definitely was. I was scared that your life was over, that I wouldn't see you again for a long time, and that you would lose your child, which are very real possibilities with the prison system. Were you angry at the situation? I was, at all parties involved. At your friends that knew you struggled with addiction and never said anything, or better yet, fed into it. At myself for not realizing what was right in front of me, and especially at you for being my smart, perfect older brother and making a mistake like this. What were you thinking? What were you thinking after your bond hearing? I was thinking that a bail bondsman's office was one of the worst places that I had ever been to. He told me people like you should never get out of jail, and he had no idea why I was bailing you out. I should have told him how much more you were than this one mistake, that you had a life, a child, and you were successful. But I didn't, because I was scared. I was also embarrassed. Your face was in the newspaper, and God forbid, on Facebook, and everyone knew the latest gossip. I was embarrassed that you, who had always been so independent, who had gotten out of our hometown at 17, had to come back and basically start all over for a while. And most of all, I was sad. I hated that you had struggles that I never saw when I thought you were so well put together. I hated that you felt like you couldn't tell anyone how you felt, even your family, even me. I hated that you could only see your daughter on supervised visits and were at risk of losing rights to her completely. I hated that you needed help, and I felt so powerless to do anything about it. What were you thinking when the court order ended and you went back home? I thought that everything would be okay again. I thought you were seeing a therapist. I thought we would eventually convince you to go to rehab. And I thought you would face the charges when your court date came and we could move on with our lives. I never thought that you would continue to self-destruct in the exact same ways that had caused you so many problems before. I had no idea I could be so hurt by someone hurting themselves, and I especially didn't think it would be by you. What were you thinking July 4th, 2022? Why did a golf day with friends have to involve alcohol and drugs when you knew how they had already negatively affected you? Why would you choose to drive knowing you had been drinking? Why did your friends let you? What caused you to lose control of your car? And why you? These are questions that I will never know the answer to and will contemplate for the rest of my life. These questions, however, begin with earlier ones. Why did a first-time offender with a drug arrest not receive mandated drug counseling or psychological referral? Why did the probationary period, during which he had to reside with my parents, not include drug and alcohol tests and last until his court date? My brother was involved in a single vehicle accident that day in which he was ejected from his vehicle, sustained a traumatic brain injury, and went into a vegetative state that he never woke up from. The last 2.5 years have been the hardest of my life as I have dealt with his loss while going through so many milestones that I thought he would be here to see, like graduating from his alma mater and beginning law school. These 2 years have also brought a range of emotions, including anger at his choices, to realizations that, although my brother was not perfect and made his share of mistakes, things did not have to end up the way that they did. Why is there such a negative stigma and connotation around arrest and addiction? Why are people with issues and mistakes like these made to feel so embarrassed and ashamed of themselves after the fact? If our criminal system was one that was set up to rehabilitate and help those who are struggling to recover, I feel sure that my brother may still be here today. Instead, I find myself turning onto my street, hoping that when I get there, his truck will be in the driveway. Thank you.
I'm gonna just talk over there.